The Department of Transportation says it will enforce a free toll for Skyway Stage 3 and an odd-even scheme during the rebuilding of Edsa. In a press conference on Monday, May 26, Transportation Secretary Vince Dizon admits that the rehabilitation will cause heavy traffic. Dizon says the DOTR developed 5 key interventions to mitigate the expected heavy traffic that will be caused by the project. One of these interventions is making the toll at Skyway Stage 3 free.
Ang Toll Regulatory Board sa tulong ni SECMANI, ng DOTR at ng iba pang ahensya ng gobyerno at sa tulong na rin ng San Miguel Corporation, gagawin nating libre ang toll sa Skyway Stage 3. Yung segment lang kung saan ididetour yung mga sasakyan na hindi na sila kailangan dumaan ng EDSA, aakyat na lang sila sa Skyway.
However, Dizon clarifies that the Skyway toll will only be waived during the EDSA construction period. The other intervention is the implementation of the odd-even scheme along EDSA. The scheme will begin on June 16. Under the scheme, Metropolitan Manila Development Authority Chair Don Artes explains that some vehicles will be banned from passing through EDSA on certain days, depending on the last number of their license plate.
Yung implementation ng odd-even scheme, ito po ay limited sa EDSA lamang. Yung odd-even scheme po na ating ipatutupad ay ang bawal po sa EDSA, yung 13579 na ending plate ay bawal ng Monday, Wednesday, and Friday. Yung 02468 ay bawal po ng Tuesday, Thursday, and Saturday. Sunday po, libre po gumamit ng EDSA ang lahat ng sasakyan.
According to Artes, the odd-even scheme will first have a week-long dry run to give the public ample time to adjust to the new arrangement. He notes that no penalties will be given during the first week of the scheme. The duration of the odd-even scheme will initially be for 24 hours, but the MMDA is looking into the possibility of implementing window hours. Other interventions by the DOTR include an additional 100 units on EDSA busway, additional trains in the MRT-3, and clearing of all obstructions along alternative routes. In the same press conference, Public Works Secretary Manuel Bunoan says preparatory works for the EDSA rebuild are scheduled to begin on June 13. The Atin Ito coalition is anticipating possible aggression from the China Coast Guard during its third civilian mission in the West Philippine Sea. In a press conference on Monday, May 26, Atin Ito convener Rafaela David says the mission will proceed even if the China Coast Guard will issue a radio challenge against their ship MV Kapitan Felix Oca. David says they already expect radio challenges and shadowing from China Coast Guard vessels. However, David clarifies that their mission does not seek war. She emphasizes that it serves as an invitation of peace among the Philippines' neighboring countries, including China. To ensure the safety of Atin Ito volunteers and media members joining the third civilian mission, the Philippine government is deploying 44-meter and 197-meter vessels to accompany Felix Oca. Philippine Coast Guard spokesperson for the West Philippine Sea, Commodore J. Tariela, announced the deployment following a recent water cannon attack by the China Coast Guard in the West Philippine Sea. On May 22, a China Coast Guard vessel used its water cannon and sideswiped a Bureau of Fisheries and Aquatic Resources vessel near the sandbars of the Philippine-occupied Pag-asa Island. Following a pre-departure musical event in Palawan, the Atin Ito coalition will sail to Pag-asa Island on Tuesday, May 27, for a sea concert. Beijing asserts sovereignty over the South China Sea, including the West Philippine Sea. However, a 2016 arbitral award effectively dismissed China's sweeping claims. President Bongbong Marcos supports the position of the Association of Southeast Asian Nations not to retaliate against the United States, which imposed higher tariffs on its trading partners. At the 46th ASEAN Summit plenary session on Monday, May 26, Marcos commends the leadership of ASEAN Chair Malaysia Prime Minister Anwar Ibrahim in steering the regional bloc stance on U.S. President Donald Trump's new tariff policy. According to Marcos, the consensus to avoid retaliatory measures upholds ASEAN's commitment to dialogue, diplomacy, and a rules-based multilateral trading system. The United States suspended in April its new tariff schedule for 90 days. But once it pushes through, the Philippines will be slapped with a 17% tariff on its exports to the U.S., one of the lowest in the region. The Department of Foreign Affairs earlier said the regional bloc would bolster bilateral and multilateral engagements with the U.S. for fruitful discussions on the new tariff schedule. Earlier this month, Secretary Frederick Go went to the United States to meet with a U.S. trade representative in a bid to lower the import tariff. Go is the Philippine Special Assistant to the President for Investment and Economic Affairs. Interior Secretary John Vic Remulla bears that President Bongbong Marcos has already chosen the next Philippine National Police Chief. Current PNP Chief General Romel Marbil's term is set to expire on June 7. In a press briefing on Monday, May 26, Remulla says Marcos already has someone in mind for the post.
Nag-usap na kami and may napupasuhan na siya pero hindi na natin na-expect niya. Basta general and above, honest, good track record, firm grasp on police matters, and a good vision for the PNP na kailangan natin.
When asked if he had recommended someone as a replacement for Marbil, Remulla answers he did not. He points out that it was Marcos's choice but refuses to name who the president chose. The PNP is an attached agency of the Department of Interior and Local Government. Marbil was first appointed as the PNP chief in April 2024. He was set to step down upon reaching the retirement age in February 2025. But Marcos extended Marbil's term until June 7 in time for preparations for the 2025 national and local elections in May. Meanwhile, Remulla says he will push for a law to amend Republic Act 6975 or the DILG Act, which reorganized the National Police. The Interior Secretary particularly notes that PNP chiefs are often replaced since they only serve until they reach the retirement age of 56. The Office of the Prosecutor of the International Criminal Court is opposing a request by former President Rodrigo Duterte's legal team to disqualify 2 judges from his crimes against humanity case. The issue stems from a request by Duterte's lead counsel, Nicolas Kaufman, to disqualify pre-trial Chamber 1 judges Rain Alapini Gansu and Socorro Flores Liera. Kaufman alleged that the 2 judges had already taken a stance on jurisdiction when they authorized the investigation into the Duterte administration's drug war in 2021. In a response dated May 22, Deputy Prosecutor Mame Mandiaye Niang rejects the Duterte camp's appeal. He says the defense's appeal fails to call into question the presumption of impartiality attached to the judges. According to Niang, the judges have not already predetermined the outcome of the jurisdictional dispute in the prosecution's favor. He says no objective observer will reasonably perceive bias on the part of the judges based on their prior involvement in the deliberation and adjudication of the case. Gansu and Liera were part of the chamber that authorized the ICC prosecutor to open an investigation into Duterte's anti-drug campaign in 2021 and to resume the suspended probe in 2023. In his request dated May 12, Kaufman said the appeal would ensure the autonomy and irreproachability of the judges. He pointed out that both had prior involvement in the most substantive legal question in the case against Duterte. His appeal aimed to preserve Duterte's right to objective and impartial adjudication. Duterte is currently detained at the ICC facility in The Hague, Netherlands. He is awaiting trial for alleged crimes against humanity linked to his administration's war on drugs. The former president's confirmation of charges hearing is scheduled for September.